Oh, glorious Sunday. It is Simply Super Dave coming at you with another episode of Staying Super with me, Simply Super Dave. In this crazy world that we live in, oh my gosh, it is sometimes a challenge to stay super. I tell you, folks, it is a chilly day down here in Louisiana. I think it's the last of the chill. I think this, spring is upon us. Things are green, trying to bloom. Here is that nice little frost blast, And I'm looking forward to like Tuesday when it gets back up into pushing towards the 80s again. The 80s, the 70s is about that perfect temperature for summer for me. Anything above that is just, the dog days to me. And I don't know. People complain about the weather a whole lot. And I really, over the years, that is the one constant. You get used to it. Things are going to happen. You just don't know when. That's a lot about life. You can look at life like weather, okay? These things are going to happen, but you just don't know when. And the weather has to line up right. That cold front hitting that hot front, those two different temperatures colliding together, and that's what creates the thunderstorms and things that we deal with. And that's just the stuff in the sky, The ever-moving earth below us is slower paced, but the reason why that you have cracks in the ground and the concrete and, it's earthquakes, volcanoes, look around the world, there's a lot of things, And one thing about the United States of America is that it is actually pretty large country. I know compared to the sizes of like Russia and so forth, it's not. But as far as usable land, it is 100% to its capacity. And it can deal with a lot more, really. You go to states up north near the Canadian border, there's a lot of land. It's for sale. Don't worry. Someone has it. It ain't like you can go up there and stake a claim or anything. But I'm just saying there's a lot of land for people to take up if we ever got to that point of crowding. I do not believe that you can overpopulate the planet. I do think that what we do as a people can overwork the planet. So what I mean by that is that if, let's say, for instance, we did not go through the Industrial Revolution, that we, like previous civilizations, found ways to create a light bulb. In Egyptian days, they had lights, believe it or not. They had a battery. I mean, this is historical fact, They were able to generate electricity. In the Egyptian days. So when you think about that, and they didn't have machines, there is a way to harness energy and create without using machinery. So I believe that the industrial culture that we are consumed in and will never change from. Let me just go ahead and say that now. I'm a realist. I'm just explaining why that maybe the effect of us is so much greater than previous civilizations before us, and why their imprint will not be left as like pyramids, basically stuff that is hidden under the ground. Easter Island, the heads. I mean, there's bodies underneath the ground. There's statues. They're just not heads. They're full-grown statues, Look how much Earth has changed over the years and how much has been covered. And, I mean, we really are figuring out that we aren't the first cycle of human beings on this planet. And the more we know that, the more that we can realize that we can prepare, or I don't know. So is that a good thing that the Industrial Revolution happened? I mean, that did lead us upon the internet, and like I said, the fabulous widespread net that created a culture that actually can live within the same moment at the same time, which has never been done before again in human history. If you think about it, the level that we have achieved in our civilization since the history books have been kept in that includes Bibles, because I find the Bible as interesting as a history book, and that's the reason why I come to terms with my higher power, and I understand that based on where you were born at on this planet and how you were raised, you have a different perspective on a higher power. And I live in a country where people that founded it realized that, hey, there's a bunch of us that see things differently, but we all need to coexist, and there's got to be a way, despite the way things were, that we can push this. So it's going to take a long time for people to adapt to being free, and being able to outspokenly announce who they are and what they believe in and how they feel. And I mean, we've taken a long time to get to this, and now it's a lot of white noise. We overlap each other in our thoughts and our conversations to the point where we're not actually having the conversation as much as we're just posting about each other. It's like if you took a transcript of the things I might say in stream or on this podcast and read them in a different tone, you might be able to accuse me or twist my words to say anything that you may damn well please. But to me, words are just words, and it's the tone that words are said in that make the words mean what they mean. For instance, fuck you can be said in so many different tones and ways that it can be flattering to offensive. It just hearing the word fuck, if that bothers you for some odd reason, I'm really interested in knowing why. Because does it trigger something? There's something right there. Does it? And that's okay, because everything triggers something. I'm tired of hearing people say triggered and be associated to something negative. I like to have happy thoughts triggered in me. I don't know about you, but there's a lot of things I like triggered. I know when people get aroused for one another, that's a triggering effect. There's a lot of triggering happening every freaking day, man, and we're all trigger happy bastards. I mean, really, we are. And if you think about it, why is that word triggered used the way it is? So now when you say the word triggered, it becomes different than what it used to be, because that triggered some happy thoughts. That motherfucker just started dancing for no reason. He did the jig on St. Paddy's Day while drinking a pint. I hope everybody had a great weekend, by the way. It is Sunday reflection time, and that's what I'm talking about right now. A little reflection within us, because we have to realize as a civilization, as a human race, that we have been here before and been destroyed and recreated, and boom, 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 here we are, cycle after cycle. Does not mean things aren't true that people believe in religiously. We just see things differently, but we do see the same common goal. And that is that your interpretation of what I see energy as, is you see it as a person, a human form, a storytelling, a white Jesus, a man in the clouds, harp playing, people at the gates, a pearly city made of gold. There's a fiery pit of hell with souls stuck to the ground. Look, I get that. And that's nice human imagery. That's the right word, right? Imagery. Anyway, kind of messed that word up there a little bit. But anyway, we're rolling on with that. But see, I see what I believe in as shapeless and just feeling and emotion, energy. And that's why when I talk about energy, people hear it like a political term or something like that. I talk about energy in a positive enlightening way, because that is truly what you are. You are a ball of fucking energy in this human-shaped body, and you're bursting at the seams with it. When you bleed, it's energy just pouring out of you. Don't lose too much, you could die. Kind of energy, but it's in a liquid form. It's what's making you move, and it's conversing all this electricity through your whole body. You are a little Duracell battery. The Matrix did get that right. And if you did plug in, you can essentially down the road, if the sun ever did blacken out, be a machine's viable choice for energy. So the Matrix is a very fascinating, great story, and could possibly, in some sort of reality, become true. But I think that would be within the next possible 10 years, because they're already talking about implanting and chipping and things like that, and it being normalized to the point where I could see that happening. And you think I'm talking crazy now, but if you go look it up in actual whatever credible news site you want to check, because everybody's different, you'll see that I'm not joking around. Elon Musk has even talked about this, and there's a crazy guy right there, but I'm loving what he's doing. He believes in free speech, and he took over Twitter, and I'm all for that. I believe free speech is a very important thing. I think people need to toughen up. I think people need to get a little bit more rough around the edges and realize, hey, you know what? Words are words, man. It's what you do, and if you want it, like I said, the conversations need to be happening, but the arguments and the shouting needs to stop. That really doesn't get us anywhere. But if you take the time to navigate through all the white noise of all of us talking at once, you can find the actual conversations, the flip side to either topic that we talk about, to the point where, I don't know, where we could actually find a middle, and everything flows on an even flow. Because, you have to have light to have dark. And, you can't have dark without light. It's a vicious cycle, yin and yang. That's how life is. It's good, it's evil. You can't have one without the other. I mean, each one defines itself, and that's how life is. It's balanced like that. You're going to have good days, and you're going to have bad days. You're going to have days where you don't think you're going to make it through it, and you have days where you can't wait for the next one to begin. I envy you people that can't wait for the next day to begin, wow. Every day is just, for me, it's a fantastic journey. I really literally am moment by moment. And that's because I sometimes can wake up dreading the day. And within a couple hours, I'll be like, this is going to be an okay day. But then I've had okay days, and then somewhere in the middle, it just went south, and it never recovers. That is the human experience. That is life. Remember, my number one piece of advice to a lot of people, and I don't know if I mentioned it in the podcast too many times, but never get stuck in a moment. Never let a moment define you. Yeah, I think I've talked about this, where you don't want to get stuck thinking about the past too much to where you're not moving forward. And you don't want to think about the future too much where you get stuck getting left in the past. You got to keep on living in the moment. It's okay to relish and have a little pause time here and there or whatever, but you got to remember the moment is continuing with or without you. So you got to kind of keep up with it. And that's life. It never stops. It never, ever stops. Regardless if you want to look at it, life before the civilization with machinery, the Industrial Revolution, without the internet. I mean, wow. We're still finding those things. And how far did they get before they failed? And what was going on back then? And the more we find and uncover, the more we're realizing that, like I said, how far back does this go? And I love it because there's a lot of repetitiveness throughout it all. Like, for example, the story of Jesus, as we've mentioned in a previous podcast, is the retelling of a story that has happened 4 to 5 times previously with a lot of similarities. And that includes things like disciples, the beheading of the man who baptized, the crucifixion, being born on a certain day, rising from the grave, being able to heal the sick and the weak, and then the Jesus story came along. Now, that's not to say that each one of them weren't true. It just tells me how many civilizations we've gone back. So each one has been destroyed, and then, seriously, it's like the Matrix. And so here we are looking for our Neo, our Jesus Christ, our second coming. This is supposed to be the apocalyptic part, and then it starts all over again. And then the only truth is that only a few ever survive, and so to restart the next human race. It's fascinating, but what if that was really true? And you've been so desensitized by sci-fi and movies and so forth that if it was true, it'd be hard to accept because it's science fiction, right? I'm telling you, media has really done a brain flip on all of us, to the point that if a zombie apocalypse happened, I don't think nobody would look twice on the news and be like, well, a zombie apocalypse, what are we going to do? Well, we need a gun. We all know that we got to shoot them in the head. I mean, right off the bat, we resort to everything that we've learned through in movies or TV, The Walking Dead, Zombieland. Just so many, The Last of Us. What a great show. That a little lackluster there, to be honest with you. I need to rewatch the last episode. I think I was a little too distracted. But yeah, I guess the more I think about it, the better it is. I'm looking forward to a second season, but I want more creature involvement. I hate to say it, but I was looking forward to seeing a little bit more. I don't know. They did a really great job, though, sticking to the video game. I give them total 2 thumbs up on the show. I was just wanting a little bit. I had a different. I don't know. Had a different vision. Had a little different vision. That's me thumbing on my seat here. Sorry, it's a habit I do. I like to fidgety and move around and talk with my hands. So imagine that as you listen to me talking with my hands. Just slinging them around. Yeah, and, oh, by the way, one thing I want to throw out, if I had to make a trip to California, if there's one thing I had to do, if I wanted to enjoy, I would love to find this. I would love to find a setting for one where you can see the ocean, okay? But I don't know if that's possible. And on the other side of me, I would love to see hills or a mountain, something like that. But I would love to be at a vineyard. A vineyard would be so nice. It would be so California, so Cali. I'm not even a wine person, but I would love to spend the day at a vineyard, to go through the tour, to taste and try different wines from different eras, and walk through the vineyard, and really take in the sights of California, because that's what runs through my head, is hills and vineyards, and not even the LA part and the Southern Cali part, but really Northern California. But I don't know, if I went to California, I would have to make some time and visit a vineyard. It wouldn't matter which one, because at this point you're a tourist, and so any vineyard is going to be impressive to you. Breweries are a northern east thing, so you got plenty. You got the items there to go check out for breweries. But on the West Coast, I would definitely say a vineyard, and definitely check out a winery, and check out their cellar and some of their best wines, and just give a swish swash and take some flavor test. That would probably make any trip to California the tops for me. Definitely have a ride home. I would definitely have to have an Uber for that occasion. All right, folks, I hope everybody has a reflective good time today about their week that just passed. And get ready for another one starting tomorrow as we roll into our next to the last week of March in 2023. What is going to happen this week? What neat little news will the media be rolling out that's going to be happening in our political world? Will another bank fall? Will it be the domino effect? I think it's 3 now, isn't it? I think we're up to 3, if I'm not correct. And they said that, now, one thing I have been seeing a lot on the internet that I have to object to is that they are not using taxpayer dollars as far as doing this, as people are suggesting. I did hear straight up from the horse's mouth, as a congressman explained, that they are taking it from a fund that the banks pay into, and they're covering just the people that are connected to the banks that lost their money, and not the banks themselves or the institution. So the bank will still fall, but the people will be taken care of. They'll be insured. I'm not sure, but to what amount? Now that's where the story might get saucy, because you know how the federal government is. They only liable up to a certain amount of money. So that might be a big deal, but I think there might be a third bank that went down over the past day or two. Really not concerned with it, as I expected this to be happening at some point in time. Now you do realize, folks, before I go, let me put the idea of programmable money at you. And you're saying, what the fuck are you talking about, Dave? I'm talking about programmable money. That's right. The digital dollar will be coming. Within the next 5 years, I guarantee you that we will all be doing our banking, our money transactions, or any form of money transfer digitally. In America, we watched us go from the analog TV to the digital TV, and it took like 2 fucking years to pull that off. Okay, so I don't see it being a fast thing, okay? But within 5 years, that will be the new trend, as they will phase out cash and hard currencies to the point where now, programmable money is what I want you to think about when you hear digital dollar or the financial dollar, the Fed Ed, whatever they're going to fucking call it, okay? It doesn't matter. Every country has already kind of been working on this. This is a world forum thing. This would make money transfer through the world a lot easier, blah, blah, blah. Everything's easier, but everything's digital. Everything, you know, and they're being backed by different things, like Russia and China and Iran, I believe, are 3 countries among many that come together on their own form of currency, and it's digital, backed by their own minerals and so forth. And that's been a big thing over the past few months. And why our financial institutions are having a little hard time, because our Federal Reserve has openly admittedly, said that they have just been printing money. So with no backing whatsoever, which only devalues our very currency. So it's getting to a point where a digital dollar, based on whatever mineral source or whatever valuable source that the United States have, which is going to be folks, it's going to be data. All right, data, potato, whatever you want to call it. That's going to be your financial backing in this country, I guarantee you. I got a weird feeling that's where this is going, because believe it or not, folks, data is the number one currency, the number one commodity on the planet currently. Look it up. That's another fact for you from the Staying Super with Simply Super Dave show. That's right. Oil, which was the number one commodity of the industrial age, was the biggest commodity on the planet. Seriously, it is in literally everything. Data, over the last year or two, maybe 2 years now, has overtaken oil as the number one commodity on the planet. So imagine the digital dollar, a programmable money. Now, why programmable? Okay, one more time. Imagine getting $100 in your paycheck. Now, if you're getting a paycheck, though, you're already going to lose, what, 30, 20, maybe $10 or $15 is going to go to taxes. So you're probably pulling in 80, okay? All right? 85, all right? Now imagine out of that 85 that the government has decided, well, we don't want you to use more gasoline than you should. So $20 is allotted for gas. Okay. So now you're down to 60. $30 for rent, accommodations and bills. Okay, that leaves 30. And then the other 30 is whatever your discretion is. So if you need some more for the bills or for gas, you can. But they can allot where you can't spend more than you want, like on whatever. Not saying that's going to happen right off the bat. But that is a feature of programmable money. Kanye couldn't get in touch with his bank account and get access to his money because it was just a click of the button. It wasn't like they went and, took the key away from his safe or changed the lock, to a safety deposit box with all his cash in it. No, they just clicked the button. Everything's digital already, folks. It's just they're going to make sure they can keep track of every single dime and dollar that there is. Well, actually, dollar. Could you imagine everything without change anymore? I don't know. I don't think that'll ever go away. They need it to be broken down to the very financial penny. That's how business works. That's how it will always be monetized. And they try to make that off of life. You now living and everything you do on the internet is valuable to them. The more time you spend, the more valuable you are to the economy, to your digital dollar. Don't let it trigger you. Don't let any of this trigger you. Please, God, don't let anything trigger you. If anything, please be triggered by happy thoughts. Be triggered by the joyous knowledge that life is not supposed to be this complicated. Mentally stressing over things is kind of the new norm because we are really dealing with a shitload of things if you're connected to this bloody internet. Whether you're looking on Twitter, Facebook, or being contacted by text, phone calls, video calls, Zoom meetings, or whatever, you can't get away from it anymore unless you actually lose your phone. And then you feel like you can't do anything because then most of us use our phones for our jobs. I know I do. And then what would you do then without your phone? You can't get in. It's really, think about it. It's amazing the things you can do with it. Like I said, everything can either be a tool or a weapon. It's just up to you. Just like you can read a transcript and you can read my text angrily, or you can read it sarcastically, like most of the times I talk. Seriously, a lot of people read my text and they think I'm so serious, and I'm just over here going, just being an asshole. That's just how I am. It's just like saying fuck you. I say it to my best friends and the people I love the most, only because they got me, or something funny happened, and it's a compliment. And then there's times where I'm like, fuck you, like, who the hell do you think you are, and then fuck you, like, I hate you. There's different ways of saying everything. You can do it with anything. So this society needs to wake the fuck up because it's vastly intelligent, but it has no common sense. That means it can take a really good test at how to drive a car on paper, pass it, everything. Get in a vehicle, crash it right off the bat. Folks, life is a balance of having a little intelligence and a little common sense. And if you have vast amounts of both, you are a human being that needs to step up and lead this country, I guess. But if you have a lot of one or the other, you're going to be on one side of the track or not. That's just how it is. And folks, it's fixable. It really is. It's fixable. One includes going outside and touching grass and interacting with the world and just kind of going through the motions of things and learning hands-on. And then there's other times where you can prepare and learn everything by simply reading and understanding and opening your mind. Like I said, folks, life is all about finding that middle, that common ground, that positive energy that we want to emote out to everybody as we walk around. Give everybody that friendly vibe, a little nod of the head, say hello, open a door, pass the energy on. Let it trigger you to being a better person than you were yesterday. And do it with a little love and laughter. That way it conquers all that hate and fear out there. Go be a conqueror. Don't be a victim.